Okay. Welcome everyone to the Blockchain Bootcamp, Build Enterprise Applications with Hyperledger Fabric. It's Alex here. I am Sales and Marketing Director at Chainstack. I will be hosting today, moderating, and doing a bit of housekeeping as well. I hope we will have a great time together. It's going to be around 3 hours. So it's fast paced. You will not believe how fast the time is going to go. I hope you will have great time with us. And we have quite a packed agenda. I hope we will keep everyone engaged all throughout. If at any point you feel like we have lost you somewhere, just raise your hand. You also have opportunity to just raise hands, put comments on the chat, as well as put emoticons. If I see anyone with emoticons with a little tear, I know that something is going wrong, and was definitely someone then will come and give attention. So just as a quick run through the program, will be a quick introduction. We will then pass it on to Julian Gordon, who's coming here to speak with us about the Hyperledger. And he's coming, of course, you will know him as a leading figure within the Linux and Hyperledger community. We're very, very thrilled to have him here. Afterwards, we will move to Eugene as the Chainstack CTOs. He will give us a tutorial on a comparative analysis of different blockchains and highlighting why Hyperledger Fabric is the optimal choice for some use cases, and while instead you may want to evaluate other choices for other specific niches and other use cases. We will then get really hands-on, and that's when the workshop will start. It's going to be a 90 minutes full ride on deploying chain code, deploying nodes, getting and joining an organization with a very interesting scenario. We will get more details afterwards, but in a nutshell, we are configuring the blockchain to mimic what it would look like to distribute amount of money to everyone by voting for it. So essentially, it's like a distribution as if it was freedom dividends to everyone in the room. It's all like, don't get too excited. There will not be actual crypto money being distributed. It's mostly about building and learning how Hyperledger works and how easy it is to deploy it using Chainstack. We will have a short break. I think we will all need a little bit of a breather. And I'm really, really excited to have with us Tech Mahindra's team, who will be taking us all the way to the next step, which is looking at the actual applications of Hyperledger Fabric as part of a live use case. And they build an exciting product looking at anti-spam call solution built exactly on Hyperledger Fabric. It doesn't finish here. I know it feels like a lot, but definitely it's worth to stay and to stick till the end. We have a final quiz. It's a bit of a challenge, but I'm pretty sure you will know after learning so intensely with us during this day, you will breeze through it. And for those who are able to achieve and to pass the quiz, we will get a nice certificate that will attest your attendance here and your ability to have learned with us about Hyperledger Fabric on Chainstack. Q&A, although I have reserved about 20 minutes at the end, feel free to ask questions at any point during the event. It wants to be a very interactive, and it wants to be really an open house. So at any point, post, if you want to speak, maybe during the presentations, it's a bit inconvenient, but if it's open, I will open the room. That even speaking, it's absolutely fine. We also have a Gitter channel. Probably you are seeing in the joining instructions the link, but we will be posting it on the chat all throughout the event. So there is an active Gitter channel open just for this event with the engineering team from Chainstack available for one-on-one support. And there are a list of support resources specifically for when we get coding a little bit later on. That should be on your online page on Eventbrite and on the joining instruction that you have received. But again, if you get lost, just raise your hand and the Chainstack engineering team will be at hand. Finally, I know you all are looking at the nice screen, but you probably have also a nice mobile phone in your hands. Do share what is going on. We are excited to have the conversation going on social media. We have put some hashtags for Twitter and for LinkedIn. As you will know, this event is part of the Hong Kong Blockchain Week. We are super excited to be part of it. Those are also the references for the Twitter handles. And one last thing, there are polls that will be popping up on and on, just to keep the interactions going. Some of them will be going to be harder than others. Some will be more lighthearted, but hopefully that will be a great experience for all. Finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are recording this event. You being here is implicit consent that you are okay with this. We are very likely to make this recording available immediately after this event, and we will be sharing it with a follow-up email afterwards. Nice. So if you have any issues with the joining instruction that we have sent out, you have a chat function, just use it. We are really there. Gitter is also there. And if you haven't deployed a node or joined the organization with invitation from the Chainstack console that you have received between yesterday and today, please do so throughout this first about hour of presentations and tutorial, because that will give you really a head start when it starts to the point to actually start the bootcamp in an active way. Great. So without further ado, let's introduce the speakers and get going. First speakers with us today will be Julian Gordon. He's Vice President for the Asia Pacific for Hyperledger and part of the Linux Foundation. He will be introducing the marriage of open source and blockchain with respect to blockchain applications. Really excited to see and to hear from him what is going to be the future of Hyperledger and the existing outlook of use cases within Forbes 500 and with the rest of the business world, enterprise world just now. Eugene is CTO and co-founder of Chainstack. He will be introducing to a number of protocols and look at a comparative analysis of what it's the overall landscape and the maturity of the enterprise blockchain landscape as of now. Thomas Rayleigh is our front-end developer. He will be our shepherd during the actual coding experience. Really happy to have him here. And Dharmen Dhulla as a senior solution architect at Tech Mahindra. And he will be speaking with us later on in about a couple of hours about the spam calls. Nice. So before we move on, I have a nice intro poll for everyone. And I would like to get at least 100% of all of you. Please do vote. Let me know, how do you feel about it? And if you are in the wrong room, by all means, this is the time where you're either making a choice and coming up, or yeah, by all means, do stay. It's a really great event. I can see everyone. It's almost 60%. We're almost there. Everyone, please get clicking. Let's leave it for another 10 seconds. Almost there. I want you at 70%. I know that about 10 of you are not voting. There you go. I can see 10 more seconds, 10, 9, just a handful of you, no? Okay, fantastic, brilliant. So as you can see, it's a split. Everyone is either very excited or everyone can't really wait to learn about Hyperledger Fabric. Finally, quite a few of you just really cannot wait to see what is going to be to actually deploy chain code altogether. Brilliant. So yeah, let me pass on the conversation to Julian, who will take us forward with a great presentation about Hyperledger and building the future of blockchain. Julian?
Hi, everybody. So I'm going to do, and thank you, Alex. And yeah, it's great that everyone's so excited about this event. I am too, right? So I'm going to talk. I've got about 15 minutes, and I'm going to present. I'll just share my screen. Just give me a second. There I'll present here, and share the screen.
Fantastic.
And my slides are loading. There you are. So thank you, Alex, and everyone at Chainstack for organizing this great event today. I'm going to do a quick 10-15 minutes, and this is interactive, so please ask questions through the chat, and make this, as I said, it's an intimate, many people, but an intimate session. It's a boot camp. So what I thought, I'd just quickly go through a little bit about Hyperledger, where we are today, where we've come from, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can contribute back, because we are an open source project and we're open to everybody. And then I'm going to talk a few use cases. And this is just a skim of the information that we have, and happy to share more at another time. So firstly, I think most people know what Hyperledger is, but it's always good to restate that. We are at the blockchain initiative, at the blockchain technology initiative at the Linux Foundation. We are completely open source. We are hosted, as I said, by the Linux Foundation, which is significant. Linux Foundation also supports, as we know, Linux, has a long history. We're also supporting many, many, many different projects. And the magic source of what we do really is making sure that we have a strong ecosystem. We have multiple companies involved in the development of code. It's not just open source with one company open sourcing it. We're about a multiplicity of companies and individuals involved in that. So we've been very, very successful, not just here, but Kubernetes, et cetera, et cetera. So there's many things, many, many projects in Linux Foundation. We are global, and we are in every industry. We're not blockchain for financial services, blockchain for healthcare, we're blockchain for everything. And we are that core underlying infrastructure. We started 4 years ago. We've got our 5th anniversary, and actually we've got a series of seminars at the moment. Brian Bellendorf kicked off the last one yesterday, first one yesterday, and we have another one next week, which is on trade finance. Everyone's welcome to come to that. On the 17th of December, 2015, we started. I started about 7-8 months after that. So I've been doing this for 4 years now, which in blockchain years we know is a long time. And a lot has happened. We have gone from, I heard someone saying we've gone from reality, some hype to reality. So 4 years ago, this was a concept, some code developed by a few companies, IBM, Digital Assets, and Intel, and others who came together and started developing this technology in the open. And from that, we have now 16 code bases. We're not just a project of one code. Obviously, we're talking about Hyperledger Fabric today, which is the most popular. Many of those are now in production 1. And as we know, Hyperledger Fabric, which we're going to be working on today, is at version 2, probably the most mature project. We have members globally, and they're very important to us. So Chainstack, I thank you for being a member of Hyperledger. We have many active working groups and meetups, and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different activities. And those activities are not done necessarily just by Hyperledger. I'm part of the Hyperledger staff. There's only 15 of us actually in Hyperledger staff globally, but we have thousands and thousands of people in this open source community who are involved with us. So I can never emphasize enough, but I always do, that we are never a pay to play. Hyperledger, you can just download the technology. There is no enterprise version. There is no different version. A lot of people take the technology like Chainstack and make it more accessible, take that abstraction and make it easier to use. And that's great. But the core technology you can always get at. Go to our wiki, download the technology. You can always see it there, and you can contribute back. And this is great for countries, people who can't afford, software, etc. around the world. It makes it accessible to everyone, just like Linux. And in the end, it's all about developers. So Hyperledger is all about code, and it's all about you, the developers. That we wouldn't exist. The code would not exist without developers. In the way that we've set up, has also, been part of the success is the developers of the projects, those maintainers and contributors, make up the decision making. So we call it a duocracy. So those that do, those who get involved are those who make decisions. And the biggest kind of example of that is our technical steering committee, which has an election every year. I think it's up to 15 people now we have in that. And we just had the election a month ago, and the people who vote in the members of the technical steering committee are our contributors. So that was a great, and please, we have a technical steering committee. We have many, many meetings. They're open to everybody. These are our projects. As I said, we have a number. I will mention this quickly. We have a limited amount of time today, but I think I'll start off with Fabric, because that's what we're talking about today. Fabric was originally contributed by IBM along with digital assets back in, as I said, it was, I think first code drop of 0.6 was in March or April 2016. And it's just grown and grown and grown since then. Not just one company, multiple different companies are involved in the development of Fabric. We have Indy, which is around sovereign identity. We also have an Ethereum projects. We have, as you see on the left, Besu and Burrow. Burrow is an Ethereum virtual machine, which you can do Solidity contracts, which sits actually on top of Fabric and sits on top of Sawtooth as well. So you can use Solidity contracts on those. And what was very interesting last year is we have Besu. Besu was contributed by Consensus. This is can be used on the mainnet, and it also can be used, as the enterprise Ethereum standard for business blockchain. So, and the very interesting thing about that is that it was contributed by Consensus. All these projects are, open source, and Quorum has now been acquired by Consensus, and it looks like these two code bases are going to be working closely. So
I am not sure what happened. I believe that the line dropped for Julian.
Back connection.
Dorothy?
Yes.
Yeah, the connection is gone. Okay, just 1 second. Let's wait for him to rejoin. In the meantime, as you are all delighted by my polling, I'm gonna send one. So let's get a bit excited on this. Let's see what the room feels about this. So just a ground, as we are here looking at Hyperledger Fabric, what is chain code? Is it a smart contract, a distributed ledger, or an endorsement policy? Let's give it 30 seconds more. Almost everyone has voted. Quite a few going. Almost everyone is there. 10 more seconds. And that's the end. Okay, let's show the results. I think everyone is in agreement that it is a smart contract, and with 87%. We're going to look at all of this later with the help of Nick, Thomas, and the rest of the team here, just so that everyone can take this as an opportunity for growth. Perhaps as I don't see, it looks like Julian's PC died. So while he finds and scrambles to find a power plug, why don't we move Eugene? Are you happy to step in and
Sure.
start and get going with yours?
I can clearly pick up with what Julian has started. So I will continue with this development friendly talk about more details on different blockchain protocols, Fabric in particular.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll be happy to pick up from there.
Yeah, would you like to start your presentation?
Yeah.
And then we will, yeah.
Share? I can
share
as well.
Yeah.
Give me a sec.
No worries. And again, if everyone had questions, oh, there you go. I can see a few questions here. Can you please elaborate on how the dev life cycle is? That's something that definitely we will cover. Eugene, probably that's something that they are in advance asking you already to cover as part of the presentation. I like the proactiveness. Keep them coming, guys.
The database is connected to the database and the front end. Yeah, I think we'll be covering this with our bootcamp content a lot. So,
wait, I think Julian is here. So maybe we can just reprise. Julian, is everything okay on your side?
I'm back.
Okay, there you go.
What can I say?
I like, because this is just the beginning of what the real experience is going to be today. So everyone prepared, things will go wrong, but we are all engineers also in this room. We're going to find ways of bypassing any issues that actually the fun experience. Please, Julian, go on, keep going.
We could continue right into my, wow, I'm going out. I'm going to go and buy myself a new machine. My relationship with my machine is coming to an end.
That's okay.
It's fair enough. Okay, let me share the screen. Ooh la la. I don't know, how do you say that in Italian? I don't know.
Ooh la la, probably the pronunciation is worse.
All right, here we go. We're back again. It's getting there. Okay, yes. This is the greenhouse. If you haven't seen it before, so this is a rerun. And I'm not going to go into much detail, but we have many projects, and please have a look. I think it is very interesting what we have now is a whole spectrum from permission to permissionless blockchains. In many ways, that Chainstack provides that accessibility to many of these different DLT platforms. So it's an interesting. We get asked why don't we just have one? Well, the world isn't made just for one blockchain. There are many ways, many attributes, and these have different attributes for different circumstances, for different scenarios. We also have a lot of great tools. To look at those, we have things like Caliper, contributed by Huawei, which is a benchmark tool. We have things like Avalon, which is off-chain, looking at off-chain around the enterprise, Ethereum enterprise standards, and many, many other projects. And a lot of stuff in our labs as well. I think we have about 30, 40 projects in our labs. So a lot of activity. Just this quarter, we released a new release of Fabric. That was in Q3. I think we're working on that today, which is great. Chainstack says it's, I think it may be the first to work on this in that kind of a level and this kind of a technology we're working today, and Besu as well. So these two projects are just charging ahead with lots of contributions, and they're always looking for people to support them as well. Now, in terms of the technology, and we're looking particularly at Fabric today, it is the leading blockchain for business. Permissioned blockchain, clearly, easily. This is just an example. This is Forbes magazine, who does an annual review of companies with over $1 billion revenue who are leading in blockchain, and well over half of those are using just Hyperledger technologies, from the China Construction Bank to Ant Financial to people like Walmart, which I may share a quick case study later. Dole. They're part of the Food Trust Network, CT, NASDAQ. It's just endless different companies are now using these technologies. Hyperledger Fabric is the consistent, and this is a great, another great measure across all the cloud providers. So from the global ones, Google, Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, to China. We have a lot of China, a lot of activity through things like BSN and JD, Ant Financial, Huawei, etc. We also have, actually, we've taken those, some of our members, and we've worked through a program where they have to have a number of their engineers pass exams, and we now have this thing called Hyperledger Certified Service Provider. We're continuously trying, as we do with all our projects, to make sure we have a professional level. We are talking about, this is 5 years we've been through, but we are creating enterprise mission critical systems. So it's important that we have that level of support, we have that level of expertise. And these are some of the providers. This is a new program. And actually you're going to hear today from Tech Mahindra, who are going to talk about one of their case studies, who are one of our HCSPs. And that's all based on training. We have a lot of training certificates. You're very welcome to take these exams. We have for Hyperledger Fabric, we have an administrator exam, and we have a developer exam, and we have a lot of free stuff out there. Got great documentation as well, which you can use. So how do you get involved in an open source project like Hyperledger? Well, this is a quick diagram I put together to try and simplify, the many ways that you can get involved. So, I think here many people maybe want to contribute by code. So you go and find a contributor guide. Each project, if you go into the wiki, has a contributor guide. And best way is always to start fixing bugs on Jira and start getting involved. If you want to write or translate, we have, I think, about 8 different languages now of translation for Hyperledger, including China. I think we've got version 2.0. We even in Malayalam languages in India. We have, I think, Spanish, and I think we may even have Portuguese. We have languages around the world. And that's all done by contributors. Or you can write a blog post, or you can just participate in meetings, get involved in meetups, help. We have the Indian community, Indian blockchain, the Indian Hyperledger chapter, which you can get involved in, and we have many things that you can get involved in. And we'll provide this deck at the end. Sorry, I'm having another glitch. I think I'm having issues. I know what I did. I pressed one of the links. There you are. We also have, there's many ways that you can get involved in, and I think we'll hand this presentation to everyone afterwards, right? So all these are links. You just click on this and you get into a link, right? So we have a technical steering committee. I talked about that. We have many other different working groups. So if you want to get involved in these technical areas, if you want to get involved in conversations, you have greater interest, you want to meet like-minded individuals, please do get involved. In China, we have a particular technical working group, which is in Putonghua, which has been active now for 3 years, which you can also get involved in. We also have around industries, we have community interest groups which anyone can join. In this time zone, trade finance is very popular, but climate change, social impact, healthcare, all these different industries, we have a number of people involved. Wiki.hyperledger.org, this is where you all should go at some point. This is where you can see all our different our code bases. You can see where all the different chapters are. You can see where all the different projects are. And this is where we can get involved. We also have chat at hyperledger.org. We have a chat where you can get involved with our global developers. So we have a whole environment which is free for everyone to get involved in. I'm not sure this is necessary for some people, but some people are slightly apprehensive of getting involved in open source communities. So how do I get involved? And these are some advice that we put around globally. Feel free to lurk. Just see what's going on, right? Don't wait for an invitation. You can join any meetup. You're as welcome as anybody in these meetings. But obviously we do have a code of conduct about how people should treat others, right? And diversity and civility are obviously key, important to us. So please do get involved. And here, me and the Asia Pacific community are always, if you have you want to work out how to do that, just reach out to me or to anybody in the community. As developers, we do have a developer newsletter. This is quite new. So please do register for this. I think one of the interesting things here, what they've done is they've taken a number of pull requests, interesting pull requests from all our different projects. So these are things that, teasers that you might want to get involved in. So, and actually you can go to our wiki and you can put your own stuff in there. It's really a developer's newsletter, developed by developers, and it's developed by our community architects. So I would suggest this is something, if you really want from a developer, you want to get in contact, see what's happening there, especially around, specifically more technical stuff, pull requests, etc. Please do that. All right, I'm going to go through a few use cases. We have hundreds and hundreds of in production today around the world, from groups of banks to groups of healthcares to things working on, central bank digital currencies, to all kinds of different areas. But I'm just going to share a few with you today. DLT ledgers. So one of the hottest areas is trade finance. it's very, I think we all know that the value proposition. How do you connect a buyer to a seller halfway around the world? With the shipping, the customs, then the financing of that, the bill of lading. It's a very complex, and full of lots of distrust and full of lots of paper documents. So DLT ledgers is an example based there in Singapore, and it has done now over, I think it says, is it $2 billion worth, $3 billion worth of transactions. What it does, it provides a place for the buyer and the seller to place their documents, which can then be through blockchain, be trusted, and then they give access to, in this case, DBS or other banks, who then can provide the kind of financing that it is required. It just cuts down what could take months or weeks or days into a very short period of time. So that's something well worth looking at. This is We.Trade, another example, and I can give you lots and lots of examples. E-Trade Finance here, we have large networks in China of trade finance. This is amongst the banks in HSBC, Deutsche Bank, We.Trade, another example. We have China CITIC Bank. This is one of the first ever. I remember when this happened. I think it must be 3 years ago, when China CITIC Bank, China Minqing Bank are our members. They pulled together a number of banks in order to do letters of credit or extended letters of credit. Before, it was done via internally by SWIFT. It was done by fax, telex. It was a challenging process, but they pulled all the banks together, and actually the Banking Association of China is now pulling all the banks together, and they created this seamless technology using blockchain, so everyone could trust the letters of credit that were shared between the banks and their customers. And on the first day, I always think the first day they had 100 million renminbis worth of LCs were processed on the first day, and it's just gone. We have like some of these ones. I think the China Construction Bank said they've done, is it $90 billion worth of letters of credit now. So very large networks in place today, giving business value today, and have been for a number of years. This is another example. This is from Tencent in China. So this is around what they call pledge receipt financing. So basically, you have, as a company in a warehouse, you may have a ton of aluminium. So how do you get financing for that? So how do you go to the bank and say, I have a ton of aluminium in my warehouse, how do I get financing for that? Well, you normally got a pledge. People had to, write documents to say, yes, I saw it, it's there. But using IoT devices, cameras, etc., positioning, location devices, and using a blockchain, they're able to instantly show and prove that these assets are in the warehouse. And actually, this is one of the key areas that has been really successful, especially in countries that have problems with credit, ability to prove your credit, is put stuff on a supply chain and provide visibility to that supply chain. We have that for just efficiency, but really just to prove those assets, so then people can use those to lend against. So if a treasurer of a company says, I need to borrow money overnight, I now can say, I know I can prove to my banker that I have assets as collateral. Sounds small, but it actually is incredibly significant. So that crossover between supply chain and financial services. This is another example in supply chain. This is around, we all have our phones, right? In our phones, we have a product called Tantalum. Unfortunately, Tantalum is mined in places like Congo through slave and other labor, forced labor. So I would like to buy my phone, and consumers would like to buy a phone that is ethically sourced. And this is a way that they're ethically sourcing it. So all the way from the mine in Rwanda, refining in Macedonia, manufactured in the US, shipped from the US, assembled in China, distributed to consumer. There are so many places that someone could introduce tantalum that came from a bad source. But using face technology, face recognition technology, using many different devices to store on the blockchain, they've been able to remove or reduce that. We have another one example in the diamonds. They have over 1 million diamonds now being to get rid of what they call blood diamonds from the chain. That's what Hyperledger they've done. I think now they've got over 2 million diamonds tracking. That's another story. I could go on. I've only got this is one around Mango, probably one of the most famous. This is Walmart. I think we all know Walmart. They did one case in China in pork back in, I think it was even 2016, 2017, tracing pork. That was at Tsinghua University. And then they did this one in the US with mangoes. Basically, the premise was that if you picked up a mango from a store, you showed it to the store manager and said, where did this come from? He would then take 2 weeks to find out. He'd have to bring up suppliers, work out where it was. With a blockchain in place, they could do it in 2.2 seconds. So why is that useful? One, for provenance, so you know that mango is from where it says. And in China, that is a big issue, to make sure the product is not a fake product, it's a real product. But in the case of Walmart, and particularly in food trust, to make sure is to get rid of when you have a food scare, when there is, and we know now about diseases, right? So when you want to know where your food comes from, if there is a E. coli scare, as there have been in many places in the US, you don't have to remove everything. So you can be very precise with your supply chain and manage that. And the business benefits and the consumer confidence from that is remarkable. And now that's part of the Food Trust Network, which has many of the largest food stores in the world involved in. Okay, so that was really just a quick overview, right? I will take any questions now or during chat or during this, but really I just wanted to give you a flavor. These are the connections that you can get involved in. I'm here, community here. We have our members like Chainstack who are very important to us. You can reach out to them as well, and just thank you for being involved in getting involved in Hyperledger Fabric today. Thank you very much. I'll pass you.
Thank you so much, Julian. That's been great, and okay. It's been awesome to see. So I have such a great overview and ideas of how people can get involved with the project. And as you say, it's a really a greenhouse, so everyone can find a place where they can nurture themselves and then grow. With seeding the open source code that you're all planting, within the wider blockchain community. Without further ado, let me introduce Eugene. Eugene, I know you've been really keen to get us going with the next slides. It's such an interesting point of view that you're bringing as CTO of Chainstack. I will leave you to take on the lead.
Sure. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Julian, for a great intro. Guys, I see in the chat that some people have issues accessing Chainstack for various reasons. Don't worry, we'll guide you through the whole application building tutorial, including node deployment and management, so you can always do this offline. Everything, including instructions, are available on GitHub to everybody. We are open in our GitHub channel to help you further. So this event is not limited by next 2 hours. So we are happy to work with the developers once you come to talk to us, and we will be happy to guide you through this tutorial once you reach out to us as well. So this is supposed to be a self-service tutorial, so you can always go through it offline as well. We just want to give a more real-time bootcamp feeling here. That's why we're doing this event. So let's get back to building. I would like to talk a little bit about how to build your blockchain project. I would like to step a little back and talk about why would you use blockchain and why would you not, and maybe make even broader this discussion about different blockchain protocols, about different projects in Hyperledger and around, and talk about other protocols and other ecosystems to provide you basically the whole ecosystem view on what's happening in the enterprise blockchain space and what are the opportunities for you to build. So let's start with the most simplistic exercise, and let's understand whether if you're building a project, you actually need a blockchain or you don't. So this is a very simple heuristic rule of thumb that you can use to understand this. And you can ask yourself a few questions like, do you need a database, for instance? Do many people need to write to it? Do all writers trust each other? So if you answer these questions in a way that's on the screen, you might need a blockchain, not necessarily, but there's a high chance that you might need a blockchain. Especially important here is that you have multiple writers to the database, and these writers, they don't necessarily trust each other. Because if you need a database and everybody trusts each other and there is maybe one writer, then you actually don't really need a blockchain. You can live perfectly with MySQL or MongoDB or any other database that you have. So let's think about the situation that you already decided that you need a blockchain and that you qualify all these criteria that I just mentioned. So what kind of blockchain you might need to use in your project? This will help you to decide. Basically, there's a question like whether you need to control your read and write access to this decentralized database, and whether this database requires highly efficient transactions. So basically, if the answer is no, and you can sacrifice efficiency to control, then you might need to use permissionless public blockchains like Ethereum or maybe Bitcoin for certain scenarios. These are great for complete visibility to what's happening in your decentralized database, because anybody can join, anybody can audit, anybody can see the content of transactions. The downside of this is that it can suffer in low efficiency of transactions. So for instance, like transactions per second in Ethereum or Bitcoin are not very high. They're like 10, 15 basically. So you cannot really make a lot of transactions, a large volume of transactions with a lot of members in this network. But the benefits are that you don't really need trust between different members if this network and anybody can join and it's completely open. So what if you need really high efficiency and you also need to control read and write access to your decentralized database, so that let's say you have an open network, but you still need to do some KYC, for instance, for people who are joining this network, and you want to limit it to only known members who you don't necessarily trust. For instance, you want to build a network within your, let's say, industry, and you want to invite the companies in this industry who may be your competitors as well to join this network for mutual benefit, like banks, for instance, but you still want to openly transact with them, but limit the participation to the network. So in this case, you might use a permission network like Hyperledger Fabric that you can easily build from scratch, and we'll show how you do it on Chainstack today. And then basically it will allow you to have a lot of transactions per second. It will allow you more flexibility because you can use different programming languages to build your application. So even Hyperledger Fabric alone supports a few programming languages like Java, JavaScript to build your smart contracts, which is chain code. And there are also other permissioned protocols that allow you to build in different languages as well. So, right, we've done with this first step. So we understood that, all right, we need a blockchain, and we chose the type of blockchain as well for our project. Or we are not yet sure, and we're still considering different options, but at least we know the considerations for choosing the protocol. What is also an interesting consideration here is to understand like what's the activity on each protocol in terms of the core developer community. And we are doing an annual report on this. We started in 2020, and we're going to release the new version soon in a few months' time. And we're going to analyze the core developer activity and ecosystem developer activity for each protocol, including those that are on the screen. And you can actually see the trends and like who are active in terms of commits, who are active in terms of like issues, and so on and so forth. So all sorts of developer stats will be there. So if you're interested, you can go and get our enterprise blockchain index from 2020, and you can subscribe to our news to see the newest version that will be published very soon. All right, so now we are digging into more in depth into the details of a protocol once we compare them. So there are a few things to consider, like how do participants reach consensus? Was this protocol used by multiple of organizations in multitude of use cases? So for instance, Julian just mentioned a lot of use cases of Hyperledger Fabric. So it's proven that this protocol can be used by large organizations and by mid-sized organizations. So it's kind of safe to use this protocol because you see that it has a lot of backing. How big is the community? You can see like also by these developer metrics, but also you can join the chat and you can see, okay, what's the size of the community? Do they reply fast enough? How friendly they are, and so on. So this is another consideration. You can also check what's the future plans for the protocol, how frequent are the releases, and this is also part of our statistics in the enterprise blockchain index as well. So that's what we look at. What's the documentation? As developers, for us, it's very important that the protocol has a great documentation. That's why, for instance, we try to maintain the best documentation possible for our developers. We try to explain everything that's going on the platform and beyond. So we try to explain how to build apps, and that's why we're also doing this event. So we try to explain how to basically onboard on a new protocol without any prior knowledge and build an application on decentralized protocol in 2 hours, basically, right? So that's the idea of documenting things and explaining things and onboarding developers. And finally, it's very important to understand like whether this protocol is understandable for you to build, because all these protocols they vary a lot in terms of like complexity of understanding of all the concepts and all the tools in the ecosystem. So it's another consideration. Like for instance, if you're a senior developer and you've been building stuff for like 15 years, for you, probably it will be easy. But if you're like a fresh developer, then might be a bit challenging for you to work with some of the protocols, and might be much easier to work with some other protocols. So here are some of the protocols that we support on our platform, and they're basically top decentralized protocols in the space by number of developers and by number of use cases that were built on them. So you see, obviously, Hyperledger Fabric that is a highlight today that we're going to talk about and that we're going to build application on. There are a couple of other permission protocols like Quorum and Corda. They have different specifics that I'm gonna describe a little later. You have multi-chain, which is one of the oldest enterprise blockchain protocols, which is actually built on Bitcoin Core source code. And you have obviously Ethereum that primarily has the public use case, but also can be used as a permissioned blockchain. So if we dig into the protocol design a little bit, we can talk about different considerations of a protocol design. So for instance, let's compare here Corda and Ethereum for the sake of the exercise. And we can understand by this, like how does the network reach consensus? You can see that, for instance, for Corda, the consensus is reached through a notary. And in the same way for Fabric, for instance, the consensus is reached through the order node. But for Ethereum, if you use it in the public domain, especially, the consensus is reached out by all nodes contacting all nodes. So basically, it's a requirement for all nodes to confirm the transaction that are full nodes. So then there are considerations around scalability, speed, and efficiency. Obviously, as you see here, for Ethereum and other public blockchain protocols, nodes communicate to each other. So each of them communicate in truly peer-to-peer way. Corda, for instance, communicates point to point. So for instance, if you want to send a transaction from a participant A, participant B, it will be sent directly from participant A, participant B by going through notary. Right, so it doesn't necessarily need to go to participant C or participant D. So it goes point to point. And also privacy is important. That's why people use different protocols. So for instance, for Corda, as I mentioned, only participant A, participant B will see the transaction if it's sent, and none of other participants in the network will see it. Like in Ethereum or Bitcoin or any other public protocol, the transaction will be seen by everyone, as I mentioned. Cool, so we've talked a little bit about choosing the protocol, analyzing this ecosystem of a protocol, analyzing the protocol design and its maturity. So let's talk a little bit about the node deployment, because that's the essential next step. So, okay, you say, I want to build stuff on Hyperledger Fabric, or I want to build stuff on Ethereum. So what's next, right? So you might think about how I deploy a node, because node is basically a backend for your application, right? So you need a node to interact with the blockchain, right? So whenever you need to build an application on the blockchain, you need some sort of a node running somewhere so that you can interact with a network. So in blockchain, it's thick backend design. So basically, you have this node that is processing all your data. So basically, you as a developer, you don't really need much resources apart from the blockchain node, because the blockchain node will actually process all your data. So whenever you deploy chain code or smart contract or core app, for instance, for core app, all this runtime is running on the node. So you basically don't need to care about the rest, apart from just maybe exposing some front end that Thomas will show a little later. But the rest of the computation is happening on the node. So it's very important to have a node, have it close to you. So some of the consideration is, okay, where do I run a node? It should be ideally very close to my location so that I can interact with it with very low latency. You need to understand, okay, should I host it in the cloud? Should I host it on my infrastructure? It also depends on like what's the security requirements for a project. And there are more considerations of node deployment, obviously, but these are the basic ones. So a lot of choices whenever you are building a blockchain project, right? And some of them are critical, some of them are less critical, so you can always pivot. For instance, as an example, if you start building on Corda and then later you decide like, okay, I want to build on Fabric, you can do the switch because they both support Java for smart contract language, so it's not a big deal. Or let's say you started building on Fabric and then later you realize, okay, I also want to have a public blockchain component. You can also do this because Ethereum supports Solidity, which is a variation of JavaScript, and on Hyperledger Fabric you can use JavaScript also. So for you as a developer, some these considerations are critical, some are less critical. So what is really helpful in this journey when you start your blockchain project is to find good tools and find good infrastructure for you to run all these applications, nodes, services, everything that is to start with kind of overwhelming when you start your project, but then you realize that, okay, there are some companies that are actually providing kind of full stack set of tools to help you with the blockchain development. So why do you need this like trusted partner with set of tools and services? Because it reduces the complexity dramatically when you work with different blockchains, especially if you're considering multiple, if you're trying to play with multiple protocols at the same time. It's extremely short time to get started because you just basically use your browser to set up a network, or you use a browser to set up a node. No time to sync the node, no time to configure the node. You just have a optimal configuration of the node, optimal security in place. So you shouldn't worry like, okay, I'm running a node and maybe somebody will hack it. So there is no such consideration. You don't need to find like people who are system administrators to help you to maintain the node. You don't need to install like additional servers, or you don't need to even go and buy some cloud and so on. So it simplifies your onboarding journey to this blockchain developer process dramatically, right? And also it's quite low cost because like some providers like Chainstack, for instance, they provide a pay-per-use type of billing. So you can run your node for 1 day, you can experiment with Hyperledger Fabric network, and then you can shut it down and just pay for 1 day. Basically, it's a nominal price. So there are certain groups that can particularly like get a lot of value from this kind of offering, like blockchain managed services. These are developers from enterprises that are experimenting with blockchain solutions because they were tasked with this kind of applications. Partners, obviously, who provide services also for these enterprises and who are building independent applications, or who are building consultancies, for instance, for blockchain as well. And obviously, independent developers who want to like set up a startup on a blockchain, or you want just to experiment with some dApps, or you're a student, for instance, who want to study blockchain. So these are a few groups that will particularly benefit from using the managed blockchain service platform. When you choose this blockchain managed service platform, there are also some considerations like, okay, I'm new to the space, for instance, I want to try different protocols, like which protocols do my managed service platform support, which deployment options do they have? Like, let's say if I'm in Asia Pacific region, can they deploy to Asia Pacific location so that I have low latencies? Like, what's the price? Of course, it's very sensitive topic for every developer, I believe, and then you should take care about this. And how easy is to set up? So can I start building like the same day I managed to go on this journey? All right. So this is a little bit of considerations on when you start building on the blockchain, and when you decide on the protocol, when you decide on the service provider for your applications. So yeah, I will be very happy to answer questions after this talk. And you can ping me in LinkedIn, you can ping me on Gitter as well. We'll be very happy to talk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Eugene. I think it was very intense, and thank you for keeping up the pace. I know that we are a little bit behind schedule, but we are going to take the pace also to the next level with the workshop now. I could see like a glimpse of the launch poll a slide from you. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. Just to recap and to intro for the new side of the presentation. Before I hand it over to Nick. Nick is our product manager. He will be taking us to introduce us to the workshop, set us the rules of the game, and get a bit of more in-depth understanding of how to take the first steps on the actual workshop. Nick, if you would like to take over while everyone is voting, another 15 seconds for the voting.
Sure, thank you, Alex. Let's wait for the poll to finish.
Okay, end of the poll. Let's look at the results.
Wow,
so the vast
we're
majority.
on the same page here.
Yes, Nick, I handed it over to you. There you go. That's all yours. The floor.
All right, absolutely. Thank you, Alex. It's been a great presentation done by Eugene. We're actually rolling out a set of blog posts on the topic of choosing a blockchain protocol. But from a development perspective, can everyone see my screen? Just clarifying that.
Yes.
Actually, it's also great to see a lot of my friends and colleagues joining this call. Really pleased to see our friends from Hyperledger and a few guys I worked with before. So thanks everyone for joining our workshop today. I've seen a question on the life cycle of development in blockchain from a few developers joining us. And Chainstack is all about streamlining this life cycle and simplifying the part where you have to orchestrate this infrastructure, and brings all the complexity to a few minutes. So essentially, Chainstack is a managed blockchain services platform, as mentioned by Gartner. We believe in a platform being really concise and simple, yet powerful enough to scale decentralized networks of any size. And that's our motto in the way we design our user flows or the interfaces, or the way it requires you to have the infrastructure deployed. And speaking of this development lifecycle, we think our platform is a great fit for developers, because you can have a functioning Hyperledger Fabric network within a few minutes. And on top of that, you can experiment with a number of chain codes, starting from the freedom dividend chain code, let's say. We have this in our tutorial as well, so you can check this out whenever you have time, and even after the workshop. So what Chainstack is just, as I mentioned, it's a managed blockchain services platform. You can start with a few of our protocols supported. Of course, we're hosting a Hyperledger Fabric workshop today, but we also support a few other protocols for consortium deployments like Corda, Quorum, and Multichain. And you can also leverage your use cases with the public protocols like Ethereum and Bitcoin. The target deployments are very broad. You can choose a managed cloud of your preference or use your own infrastructure. Our product is several years mature. Google has a use case that is mentioning us, and Gartner is highlighting us twice already in a row. This is the second year they're mentioning us as an innovator in the managed blockchain services, and that's quite a distinction. So Chainstack is truly the easiest and the most cost-effective way, because essentially, as I just said, it's just a few clicks, and we're charging you per your use in a truly secure and enterprise-grade fashion. you're free to choose any protocol and you're free to scale as you grow. So we basically cut time to market on every dimension that are like infrastructure, governance layer. The platform also encompasses onboarding new members on your like private network or consortium. And we also have a marketplace where you can check the applications that extend your existing deployment with application level kind of additions. So speaking of Hyperledger Fabric deployments in Chainstack, it's worth mentioning that we strive to always have the latest version deployed. And recently saw this incident happening on, let's say, Ethereum, where there was a chain split with Geth versions. And, blockchain is getting mature, but it's not that mature that you don't have to, that you can afford your infrastructure to remain on the previous version. And that's our ultimate goal, is to keep all the protocols updated to the latest versions whenever possible, because there are critical fixes and improvements. And that's what we're going to do with Hyperledger Fabric that has been announced yesterday, I think, the version 2.3. And there are quite major changes, including the system channels and other things. So it's worth checking this out, and I can share this link later. Everything is orchestrated through Kubernetes. We support the vanilla deployment with LevelDB databases. We also have this one universal channel that hosts everyone by default. We have this raft orderer and an instance of Hyperledger Explorer deployed for everyone joining the consortium. And you'll see this as a part of our workshop. So speaking of what is going to be beyond the Q4 and what's going to be really soon. Well, we're going to release a few features in Chainstack that are going to extend your user experience even more. So we're going to support Hyperledger Fabric CA lifecycle, and this implies having an advanced Fabric identity management, routines in it. As I mentioned, we offer already some own infrastructure hostings option for some of our customers, but as a part of our platform, we'll have this integration concept released soon. So that's the next big thing to come. There are a number of other specific features for Hyperledger Fabric, but essentially the most exciting one is updating Chainstack Fabric version to 2.3 and releasing Fabric CA. That's what the vast majority of our customers have been demanding. I mean, the Fabric CA part and having the latest version of Fabric. The infrastructure itself is self-healing, so you don't have to waste time on checking it out. Our nodes and networks are auto-scaling, and we have already also some webinar attendees today who joined our previous webinar. And if they were to compare our roadmap, we have actually released an API, a programmatic level access to the Chainstack console. So you can actually orchestrate your networks and nodes through our rich set of API calls. And I would advise to check this out if you ever thought of having, let's say, an infrastructure as a code type of setting for the service we provide, or just the programmatic level. So speaking of workshop, we're going to follow this, and we're going to imitate this development lifecycle, as one of our guys in the chat asked me about. It all starts with creating a consortium, and it's typically a tedious process that Chainstack automates to a few clicks or steps. And some of you have already done that by joining a project within Chainstack. You will already onboard a consortium network in it. Then we're going to deploy a web application for a logic that is called Universal Basic Income, or Freedom Dividend Chain Code. Essentially, we want to imitate a situation when government bodies all agree on the distribution rules for the universal basic income. And we would imitate these government bodies to be the states of the United States. And we would just imitate how would this look like in a world where important things like distributing income is determined by decentralized application. And you'll be participants of this, consortium network that decides on the universal rules of this basic income distribution within your chain code. And as soon as all the states or peers will agree on the chain code rules, we'll have it running in a distributed cloud network within Chainstack. That is essentially it. Yeah, I see a few questions are being asked on the chat, and I'll get there right after handing my my share screen rights back to probably Thomas or Alex. And
yes,
it's been a pleasure to say a few words, about the service we're building.
Thank you, Nick. I like how your pace is very calming, and that's kind of the way that we like it here at Chainstack. It's okay. we can guide you, we can assist you with a lot of expertise and calm and patience, or at least that's what we strive to do. But now things are getting heating up quite a bit. I know that Thomas is itching to take the screen and take the lead now. We're now going to really get hands-on with the development. Thomas, are you ready to guide us through the process?
Hi, yes. Can I take over now?
Of course, of course.
How's my lighting? Is it okay?
It's perfect.
Okay. Can you see me? Yeah, my hair is okay?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Okay, let's get started.
We can launch a poll about your hair.
Wait, oh, wrong screen.
Okay, I see that many of you are experiencing the problem of peer nodes being, stuck or failed. This happens, due to some unknown reasons at the moment, maybe due to the velocity we're experiencing right now. Just try to delete your peer nodes and have it redeployed maybe in 10 minutes or something. You can always follow the flow that Thomas is explaining. He has just sent the Fabric Bootcamp chain code repo, so you can just follow the instructions as soon as you have your peer deployed. Sorry, Thomas.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, so everybody hear me okay? I'm gonna start right now. I'm gonna describe what we're gonna do today, what's our objective. If I'm going too fast, please slow me down. In fact, I will slow down just for you. So let's begin. So the general idea today is that we are, sorry, this is too funny. The general idea today is that we are gonna explain how you can build an application that runs on top of on Node that's spin-off or deployed on Chainstack, and what kind of codes we write and the general idea behind it. So first step, I need everybody to help me by cloning this repo. I shared the link on the Zoom chat. So
Thomas, we can actually see your Slack open.
Oh.
Is this intended or just asking?
No. I think this is the wrong screen.
In the meantime, we do have the sharing the poll results on your hair. They're saying that they like you anyway, even though it's not the perfect hair day.
Thank you. Can you see my GitHub screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, hi guys. So please help me clone this repo. Inside this repo will include the assets we need for today. And thank you for liking me anyway. I appreciate that. It just shows that my hair is not perfect.
It is.
Okay, so
just playing around.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so let's go to a folder that you're comfortable with. I'm gonna use my desktop, and then I'm going to clone. I'm gonna clone this.
Can I ask you to hit Command+ a few times just to enlarge the font size within your console?
Yeah, sure. I'll do this for you.
Yeah.
Usually I'll say no, but
okay.
For
Thanks.
Nick, sure. Okay, cloning. So you should see this in the folder. Just go into it. Does everybody see this? Anybody has issue cloning this? No issues? We good? Thumbs up, yes. Some reply on Zoom. Increase font, okay. Better?
Increase font again, I believe.
Again? Okay, okay. Right, yeah. Good.
Just make it super large. Like
big
pretend
font.
you were not wearing your glasses.
Big enough for you? Deepak likes it big. Like this, good. I open and close the Visual Basic. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I guess everyone has this open. So I'm going to, yeah, now better. All right. I'm gonna open this on Sublime. I use Sublime. I'm old school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and just open something to check the font. Maybe. Okay, let's go. Good? Yeah?
Yeah, looking good.
All right. Okay, so so let's go back to our peer that we're gonna use today. So if you have a failed node, can you please delete your node and try to redeploy them? And those people that that has your node deployed, I will talk about how we can extract what we need from Chainstack platform onto our local local repo that we just cloned, and then how they all work together. So in general, how we develop this application is that we use the peer binary, and it will talk to our node using some certificates that we download from Chainstack platform. It kind of authenticate us, and we communicate with the peer like this and wrap this all around the API interface on Node.js. So let's get started to set up our environment. First thing first, we need to run this script. So what it does is that it will download the Fabric binaries that we will use for today. So let's, if you look at the README, for me, I'm using a Mac OS. So I'll just copy this command right here and then paste it in the command line like this. If you are using Linux, you just have to append Linux to the back of the command like that. If you are using Windows, then I'm sorry, the script doesn't work on Windows.
Yeah, we clarified this in our GitHub channel, I believe. A lot of guys are actually using VirtualBox environment for this. So
yeah, so let's run this command. It'll take a while. In the meantime,
I wonder how long does it take? I mean, I feel like it's stuck or something.
Probably like a minute.
Okay.
Or less, yeah. A minute just to be safe. It depends on your internet speed, actually. I have pretty decent internet, so maybe.
So what kind of binary are we downloading right now with this like such command?
You actually download the whole tools from their release, yeah, GitHub release. Download.
Okay.
Yeah. So
so essentially all console line commands that are required for us to interact with Hyperledger Fabric network, right?
Yeah. So if you see this, these are all that we downloaded. Today we are gonna use peer and discover. Yeah. These are the two that we're gonna use today. So once you're done with this, let's go ahead and set up our server. So from this branch, from this cd to web app, and then server like that. And afterwards, we will just have to run npm install or npm I if you are hip. And this will install all the dependencies that we need.
Okay, so if you guys recall this from the very short slide I showed, we just start with just this web app deployment. And this simplifies the process dramatically because our web application actually shows everyone on the network, Plus, it helps you to approve the chain code for the channel. So it minimizes our console line time, and it's actually a very nice graphical tool. So kudos to our team for making this, and I think Thomas has contributed to that.
Yeah, please start the repo later if you like the experience today.
Yeah, I liked it. Really nice looking. We'll see this.
Okay, let's continue looking. Oh, new people are deploying. So Vivek 903 and Node 29. If you want to join the network, can delete your node and try again.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we're just deploying a web app right now, so we can move on.
Okay, this takes a while. Okay, we've done the server. Now we go to our client, which is the front end. It's written in Vue.js. So do this, you cd:/client, and then do the same thing, npm install like that. Yeah, everybody following? Anyone lost? Am I going too fast?
Well, I can follow, and I'm not the, I'm not the guy who's super fast, especially after COVID. So it actually affects your brain capabilities.
Really?
Yeah, you become super slow. Like your short-term memory becomes limited, and it's great that you have this console line interface open. I can just follow everything.
Is it permanent?
No, I hope not.
Okay. Right. Almost there. Okay. So once it's installed, you need to build the assets. So just run this command, npm run build, like that. And this will build the assets we need to use later on your local machine. Okay, we're done. I'm done, sorry. Let's wait a while for the other guys. If you're done with this step, when you reach here smoothly, can you give a shout out on Zoom so we know like there are people that have reached this stage of the workshop? Done. Okay. Wow, nice. Excellent. Yeah.
Not everyone is fast though, so can we wait at least like 30 seconds or something?
Yeah, I believe Essence has a very good internet speed. Decent.
In the meantime, I'm going to launch another poll, but that one is a bit of a teaser from what is coming later at the end of this workshop.
Oh yeah.
This should be an easy one. I think it's one of those, oh, okay. That's something that probably everyone has experienced at some point. And that's having spam calls coming from different type of actors is actually something so common and a nuisance for more than what, a large part of the population worldwide. But I believe that especially in India, that has been like a thorny issue for many, many years. And blockchain is promising to have a solution for it. We will hear everything about it with Tech Mahindra shortly.
Wow, 92%. It's
that's
not actually that surprising.
Universal.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I used to live in California shortly, and I remember when I got their mobile phone number, I received calls like every day from a woman speaking in Chinese and saying, hey, you need to pay off your debt. Please transfer money there or something. And I know that it's a common thing in San Francisco, really. They buy all the customer base numbers. I don't know from where, but you know, it was really hard for me to get that first. I had a few Chinese friends translating this for me. So it was a fun experience.
It's okay. I think as ex-European, you know, resident, unfortunately, that was something that was ongoing there until probably GDPR coming on board as you know, curbed a bit the issue, but it's still very prevalent in many countries, I suppose. Thomas,
okay.
How are we doing?
Yeah, so I believe everyone is done with the previous steps. We're gonna continue to the next step. Mm-hmm. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna export some data from Chainstack platform, from the peer and the network that we deployed. And this will give us, it will help to authenticate us with the network from our local machine. So let's start by exporting the order details. So can everybody go to this screen on Chainstack console and click on service nodes right here. And this will expose the orderer. What we want to do is we want to go inside the orderer like this, click on it. And you should see, we all should see the same orderer. Anybody needs help getting here? Please shout out. Our engineers are patiently waiting to help you guys. So right here, copy this orderer name. Just hover over the name, the value, and you should see this copy button. You can just click on it, and this will copy the value. So we want the orderer name. We want to put it in the .env file. So on your code editor, go to .env. This is in the server directory. And then look for orderer name and just paste over what we copy from the platform like that.
Yeah, just to clarify, you should go to the path web app. Then you have a server folder. In it, you have a .env file. And you should paste it in order name.
Yeah, like this. Is it okay? Is it everybody can follow? Yeah.
I think Sam is asking, is it possible to receive terminal codes here? And others seems to be lost. So if you are lost, can I please ask you to put it on the main chat? And we have Nick, we have Satish, Anton, Thomas, and Eugene. We're all here. Yeah.
And Ake, we have Ake also.
Yeah,
of course.
I'll just copy everything there. No worries. Oops. I think I should post it on Gitter maybe. Okay, give us a minute or something. Let everyone be on the same page here. So I'll just copy all the commands that essentially start with git clone, and you can execute all of that just by copy pasting it. Give me a minute. Maybe for the time being, Thomas, you can explain what's order, let's say, and what are service nodes in Chainstack.
Yeah. So order, let me talk about the repo on how to write this application that works with Hyperledger Fabric.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to open this file, aph-index. So this is just a very basic Node.js application that's in charge of it, how we link the client or the UI to our Fabric network. So in here we have different endpoints, for example, /get network. And here we have this helper function execute that runs a certain number of commands. These commands are mapped to our commands in this file, the chaincode.sh. So basically in this file, what we do is we pre-write and put in the different variables we need to execute the binary file. In this case, the peer binary that we just downloaded on the first step of the bootcamp. Yep. So example, we have check readiness, we have commit chain code, query installed, and etc. This is the command which communicates with the peer node. Yes, from the front end. So the front end will call, for example, this endpoint / network. And then behind the scene on the back end, this is the back end, we will execute this set of commands. Basically, they are bash scripts or bash commands. And then we retrieve the values from what we retrieve the values from these commands, and we do what we want, what we need according to our application, and then return it to the client on the front end. So the user doesn't necessarily know that this is a blockchain application. It just feels like an ordinary application to the user. But on the back end, instead of having a DB, we are using the Fabric here to communicate with the network. Yeah. So this is the essential, like how it works. So another thing I want to highlight is if you are working or building your application for a multi-party organization, for example, you have 2 or 3 or more organizations in your network, and when you want to commit your chain code, you actually need to provide the TLS files and their peer address, the peer address list and the TLS root file certificates to perform this commit. So what we do is we can use the discovery config and discover peer command to retrieve this data from the network, and then on the back end we do some filtering, and then we pass them to our binary command, and then we execute it. So this is a little tricky because unlike conventional way of dealing or committing stuff, you just call SQL command and put it into a database. But for Hyperledger Fabric in this case, you actually need to provide this peer address list and TLS root files to have this commit to perform successfully. So how we can do it is you can use the discover binary to get data off the network and then put them into the command, execute them. Yeah. So you need peer address and TLS root set files. You need both of them, and they have to be the same number. Like you have 4, you have to have 4, etc. The chain code is the kind of format you want to put into the network. So right now, this is more on how we communicate with the network through the peer. Yeah. Is everybody on speed? Should I continue?
Yeah, we can probably show how the application looks like, or you can start this and show to the...
Yeah, sure. I need to finish the setup before I launch the application.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so the previous step, we were at the orderer right here. So just click on this export button. This will export the certificate, the orderer certificate. And then we can go back to your own peer. And in your own peer, there is also the peer name that we need for our application to work. Just copy that and put it into your .env file under peer name, like that. Yep. And the last thing we need to copy is this MSP ID right here under organization identity. Your MSP ID, just click on copy and put it into the .env file like that. Continue is fine. Okay, good. Yeah. Next, we want to export our set of certificates right here. Organization identity, click on export. This will download a zip file like that. This is what we want. And lastly, click on details from the network, Freedom Dividend. If you go back to this screen, network protocol, and click on details, like that, you can see a button here. What we want is the connection profile. Just click on this button also. And we should see that we have the connection profile downloaded. It's a lot of stats, but this is all we need. If you have trouble finding where to click the buttons, use the chat. Nick, Egg, and the rest of the engineering team will be there to assist you. So right now, what I want to do is I want to move this into my local repo. Let's do that together. Yep.
Hey, Thomas, just to clarify, are all steps reflected in our README MD like file in the repo, right? So everyone can also follow the README.
Yeah.
File.
Okay, so right here you can see I have the files downloaded. I put it on my desktop. First thing I need to unzip this organization identity folder, MSV folder. So I want to move this into my repo, which I cloned on the first step. Inside web app, there is a certs folder like that. Just move this tree in there. So you should see something like that on your code editor. You should see this. So once you're done with this, you have finished the setup phase. I'm going to now spin up my local server. This npm run start on the web app/server repo or directory path. And this will spin up my local server. And from there, I just have to access hot 4000. And I should see this screen. So this screen basically is the web app we wrote. Here you can see the channel config and the channel peers, depending on the network. We retrieve them using the discover binary. Can you do that again about unzip and put file? Yeah, sure. Yeah, so too fast, I can't catch up. I'm sorry, Essen. So, so what you wanna do is you download the 3 files. I'm gonna talk about them again. So we go to your network on the console.
I just don't know where to put it.
Okay, I'm back, my bad. So go to, in your local directory on web app, certs. Here, just put it in the certs folder. Yeah, we good?
Yeah, in certs folder, you should have the following. You should have your organization identity folder unzipped. You should have JSON connection profile, and you should have a certificate from your order with .pem extension. And those are 3 identity files that you need to have there. And after that, we're ready to launch our web app.
Yeah, so it's in this path, web app/certs. Yeah, so very randomly, I think like there are pros and cons to doing this bootcamp online. The pros is obviously we could connect to anyone worldwide. The con is that, well, I can't see you guys physically. And there is no beer and pizza like there normally would be. I mean, you have to buy them yourself now. Yeah, what do you think, Alex?
I think that after this event, we're all going to go either with a bit of nice cup of coffee, depending on the time of the day, or a nice glass of wine. I know that, you know, we have representation not just for APAC, but it's a bit of a, maybe like a few from Europe and it's a bit of an early morning. I would say it's a bit early to hit the beer, but yes, for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, not judging. I've been there before, and I can see that there is quite a bit of intense, brain activity going on with what we're doing.
Okay, so everybody up to speed now? Yeah. Does everybody see this screen? If you do, type a yes. It'll be awesome to get some like interactivity going on Zoom. No, you can type no also. No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Shall I launch the server? Yes, yes, my bad. Okay, so once you move the files to the certs folder, what you want to do is you want to run npm run start from web app server path. So go to web app server and then type npm run start like this.
In case you were not successful with launching a peer within this project, that's okay. You can always follow the same steps after the webinar and just catch up with the rest of participants. But for the time being, among those that have deployed their peer within Chainstack Freedom Dividend Network, how far are you guys with us? Because I see quite a number of running nodes. And I wonder if we all can agree today on the chain code, and this essentially requires you to be active and following all the steps. So please type yes or no. In case you have a peer deployed within Chainstack and you are on speed with us.
So Asus, what do you mean?
No, kind of lost.
Okay.
So Fabric 1.4 is the version we don't support. We support the version 2.2 right now.
So Nicholas, like Nick said, if it keeps failing, it's fine. Just follow through. It's gonna wash. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Things like this may happen. We can just continue, but I wonder if we would be able to collect the majority of votes today for the chain code.
Yeah, let's see. So, Anton, did you manage to run this command? npm run start?
Yeah, I have done it already, and I see what you see.
Okay. Thomas, someone is asking, can someone help me adding a node? I've tried multiple times, but not able to add it. Probably Ake, can you reach out to Naginder or Nick?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you reach this page, basically we only left with a few buttons. You can use the UI. So I'm gonna just show you what happens next. So the guys that still behind, don't worry. My guys are there to help you. Just click on this, install chain code. So what's gonna happen is we will install the Freedom Dividend chain code, which I will walk through in a bit, developed by Ake. Yeah, that Nick spoke about at the start of this bootcamp, this workshop, sorry. So what's happening now is we're telling our peer to install that version of chain code. And after it's installed, we can approve it and then commit it to the network, commit that chain code to the network. So this is the process of installing the chain code. So if you go to the contract folder at the root of the repo, you can see in the library folder, that's the Freedom Dividend contract. This is what we are using for today's bootcamp. So basically we have the opt-in, opt-out, and query command function. So it's a very basic chain code that you can build on top. If you want to play around with Fabric and learn about Fabric, you can build on top of this repo make some changes to this contract, and then yeah, build your own front end using it, and you can learn like how Fabric works. So if you see my screen right here, you can see that I have the dividend contract installed. So my next move is to approve this. So if you look at this approvals, this list of approvals, this each represent a different organization on the network. So in order to commit the chain code, we will need more than half of you guys or the people on the network to approve this contract before we can commit it. So right now I'm going to show you how to approve it. Just click on this approve button like this, and it will approve the chain code.
What if someone doesn't want to approve?
Then then we cannot come to consensus. Then the chain code cannot be committed to the network, and then we have to ask them why they don't want to approve.
Yeah. So what are they approving? They're approving for the money to be shared, right?
Yeah, free money.
Okay. That's okay. But that's, I think, that's the interesting part of running actually on a decentralized network. Like, there is nothing that you can do, right, in a centralized manner to push the decision through.
No.
If people, is it the majority, right, that needs to agree?
Yep. It's like an election going on a chain code.
Yeah, with a counting that is very transparent, right? All the truths and faults will be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have 15 nodes, which means we need majority. That means we need 8 approvals, and now we have 6. So we are 2 away from committing the chain code. So we just have to patiently wait for the 2 missing votes, and then we can move on to the next phase, next part of the bootcamp. Yeah. So this actually gives you an idea like how Hyperledger works. It gives you visualization on the process of installing, approving, and committing a chain code. And later we will go through how we can interact with the chain code if we have enough approval. Yeah. So
wait, let me ask, because as usual, I have so many questions in the back of my mind. So Nick, that's one is for you, even if for Eugene. So what's the actual application of this in a real business scenario? Is there any way that this could translate into an application that an enterprise would be using or a business would be using?
Well, we saw quite a number of examples that Julian said in trade finance and supply chain. For example, this mango tracking in Walmart, this all has been really possible due to the power of decentralized applications. And they are called decentralized because there is no server behind, this application. All the instances are deployed on peers that form a network. And in order to, change the state, which essentially is stored in this database, they all have to come to the same agreement, which is a process called consensus. And, this has many applications. Like trade finance is just one big pile of it, but there are numerous use cases related to tracking and asset, distribution and many other things. So maybe Eugene can add up something to this list, but we already see real life applications. And I actually contributed to a central bank digital currency project a few years ago, which, when it was started, this was just an idea how we can distribute like e-tokens among the whole country and put this on blockchain to lay out the foundation for the country to exist in this decentralized environment. And it all led to, this Asian country being one of the top leaders. So it's truly, the range of applications is really wide, and you can decentralized the applications where you effectively don't want a single person or a single organization to be in charge of making decisions. And that's the true power of, blockchain, just smart contracts and decentralized applications. All right, I actually can approve my chain code. I've been talking for some time.
I think we are at the stage of the cliffhanger.
And
where
anyone
we lay the groundwork. Go ahead.
Sorry, that's it. Anyone needs help, like coming to this screen? Anyone still stuck?
I am just committing my chain code. So someone asked me in the channel, are we using a specific consensus algorithm here? And yes, we do. There are two agreements happening right now. So I mentioned this orderer peer that we refer to and we use identity of. This is a consensus within network. So that's essentially how Hyperledger Fabric makes agreements within network. And this chain code is an application we deploy on every peer. And every peer agrees to the same rules of the game. So they play the same kind of game. And this agreement happens within chain code terms. And that's not a consensus, actually. That's the logic in your decentralized application. Effectively, if we talk about consensus algorithm, which is usually associated with network agreement type, we use Raft, a BFT type of consensus mechanisms that is running on a single order at the moment. So I hope this answers the question about proof of activity or specific consensus algorithms. So Fabric is using Raft, and there are other options for consensus algorithms.
I can see one raised hand from Naginder. Naginder, if you feel happy to speak, then just do that directly. Otherwise, let me know on DMs and we can reach out. How are we doing, Thomas? Is the count gone up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is a cliffhanger. Just one more.
If it's not a majority.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys what happened if I try to commit the chain code now with 7 true and 8 false. It says endorsement policy failure. Yeah, so we have to wait for the hero to arrive and give approval to this chain code.
Oh, we have to accept the community has not agreed on the proposal, right? When it comes to governance.
I guess we have to bribe them then.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay.
Let me ask this one to Eugene, if he's still there somewhere. How is the majority decided? Does it on the basis of endorsement policy?
Yes, it's part of the endorsement policy, yes.
Okay. If in the meantime you have... sorry, go ahead.
Policy. Yeah, I'm just wondering what's behind this endorsement policy, if we put it simple. And what's the term endorsement?
Well, these are rules that basically define how your agreements are made. So you can say, okay, I agree on this chain code being approved if there is a majority, for instance, that are approving it. So it basically defines the consensus, the lightweight consensus for this particular channel.
Okay.
Okay, there is one other question. Can't the admin make it to commit?
No. As we all form a single network and you are all added as, you all have the same equal rights and votes within this network. So there is no central entity within network with more rights than anyone else. So since you don't have a majority here, admin cannot really do anything because it's all about this democracy mechanism that is built in endorsement policy. So admin can do nothing about this.
And I think there is
the only thing admin can do is just to ping everyone who's not committing the chain code and be insistent with this, but effectively nothing we can do. It's a decentralized system.
Yeah, so even though it's a managed system, we are not interfering with the process of a decentralized consensus and governance. We cannot do anything about it. Okay, I think there are some more questions coming. Does the same policy we define at the time of chain code instantiation? Not sure, and again, there I understand. Does anyone pick up the question? It's okay.
I think what he meant to ask was you can actually set the endorsement policy per chain code. So the current one we are using is the default one set on the network. And when you do your own chain code instantiation, sorry, my English is bad, instantiation of your own policy is different from the network one. So that endorsement policy will be only applied to that chain code. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. So let me relay one more question to Eugene. That's actually quite interesting. If there are only two organizations in one channel, how can we define the majority?
Well, then in this case, you don't have a majority. Then you need to decide on a different endorsement policy for your chain code.
Okay.
I mean, the majority will be, basically the majority will be both organizations, obviously. So
only if they both agree,
yes,
then the chain code will go through.
Yeah, there's no other majority between two organizations, right? So both should agree, so that's the majority.
Yeah.
Right, I see a few guys running their peers, and they're actually with us here on the webinar. I'm reaching out to you personally through Zoom, one-on-one. It would be great if you let me know if you are stuck with something, because we would like this decentralized application to be launched, and we also have a plan B just to go forward without having it deployed, but it would be awesome to just showcase it to you. Hey, someone are saying I ran my node finally. Maybe this can help. How many participants do we have right now with their active running nodes? Let's see. $13. Am I counting right? How many of them have signed up? Yeah, take your time. You can put your certs. And there's one important thing. So if you deployed your peer just now and you want to participate in this chain code approval, you need to re-download your connection profile. So you need to go to the network details and hit the expert connection profile button. Because with every peer added, this JSON file is updated, and you were one of the last peers in the network. Okay, Deverick is here with us. Maybe he can tell me how far he is. Having technical issues with NPM. Well, this happens. No one likes Node in this regard, so yeah.
So for those who are having issues with Node, please make sure that you are using Node.js 12.13.1 or higher. Yeah, it's in the repository's prerequisites. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, also please remember to unzip the folder when you move to the search directory. In case you move the zip folder there, just unzip it.
(922). Sahil. We got here another candidate to approve the chain code. Let me talk to him. Hey Sahil, how's it going? And that's essentially what an admin of can do. Just ask all the participants in the network to sign and approve chain code.
Okay, I'm going to launch another poll while we're on this cliffhanger.
And we also have Vani. Okay, we got, start at the local host. Okay, we actually have Sahil really close to signing the chain code. Can we update the list of approvals, or it's updated like live? Thomas, you're on mute.
Yeah, it's live.
Wow.
We are polling every 10 seconds or so.
Okay, so let me just tell you the candidates we're waiting for. It's RG922. And it's Sahil. And we're also waiting for Typhoon, which node is RG859. And we also have Deverick with us, whose node is RG806. Yeah, and Sahil has just approved the chain code.
Awesome. Sahil, woo!
Hey. No, guys, no one is late. I mean, it's just, things that happen usually during this live broadcast. So just experience the flow with us, and you can take your time later, and we'll be there in Gitter to support you, and
I think we have enough. Let's try. I'm gonna click on commit. Let's see.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I'm too lazy to count again. So I'm just gonna commit and see if it works. Oh no, endorsement policy failing.
Yeah, most likely we have more participants now, and that's the reason why. So we're not going to go further without you guys. So maybe you can tell us
we need one more
chat how far you are.
We have 8 and 8.
So could it be that some people are on purpose not approving? Is there anyone who is in principle?
No, I think not in this case. I mean, of course, in the real life example, participants of consortium, similarly to, let's say, the United Nations kind of voting, they can, disagree and with the rules or contracts or anything that is implemented in this decentralized application. But here we are in an educational environment, and I don't feel that someone doesn't like this concept of universal basic income. I mean, that's really great to have free money. So why don't we just agree on it? Can the admin remove the people? No, I mean, unless they redeploy their own peer, and that's what Chainstack cannot do, or delete their peer from the network. We cannot do that.
That is the thing about blockchain. There is no super admin power. Yeah, we need one more.
Okay, no pressure on you guys, but you know, Typhoon and Taverick, you are two of my candidates that I believe in.
Oh, we have new notes on the party now. We have
and maybe that's the reason why we don't have a majority. So you should re-download the connection profile, should you?
I think it's fine. We're using Discovery to populate the list.
Okay. No worries.
In the meantime, if anyone has also a question for Julian, he's still here. I'm absolutely positive he's more than happy to answer any questions about Hyperledger, the Hyperledger ecosystem. Julian, how has it been so far? This has been also your first bootcamp, blockchain bootcamp with us. Although it's our second, but I believe that that's the first one for you. How is it going?
Excellent, excellent, very good. Very impressed. So yeah, very quick. It's very good. Relatively.
Yeah, and we always get this idea that we have some superpowers as administrators, but even with blockchain managed services, the integrity of the process of decentralization and the consensus is really untouched. There have been some interesting conversations within the blockchain community over the past weeks or so about differentiating the infrastructure when it comes to centralizing in terms of one provider as opposed to a number of providers or different clouds. But when it comes to the power of the single infrastructure provider or the blockchain managed services, such as Chainstack, we cannot touch the consensus at all. We don't have any power switch that will just switch off the power of Hyperledger, of the actual code and the smart contracts.
Yeah, it's important. Obviously, trust. The whole point is that you can't have that centralized authority, otherwise we lose trust. So that's key to it all, the consensus.
For sure. Yeah. And if anyone has any question for Julian, for Eugene, I know the Tech Mahindra team is ready in the pit stop. It's I think we have about 5 minutes or so left. Thomas, you have to also to guide me on the timeline for the next steps. How long do we want to give it?
I think if we can't come to consensus, then someone has to sacrifice their node from the network.
Martyrdom is part of the process. Yeah. So how about we do this? How about we switch to and we welcome Tech Mahindras for their talk. In the meantime, we keep going with the network in the background. And the engineering team keeps being here. If in the meantime you want to ask any questions, then that's something that we can do in the background. How about that? So
that's a great idea, Alex. We'll be on Gita. So in the meantime, we'll be there waiting for your questions, and hopefully we can come to consensus.
Sure, and on the chat as well. Here, remain here on Zoom. We're all here. So Dharmen, if you're happy to take over and start your presentation, that would be great.
Yeah, sure, Alex. Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen here. I just switched on the camera. And please let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, it is, for sure.
Okay, great. Sure. Thanks, Alex. And thanks, Julian, Thomas, everyone. Been a fantastic session so far. Yeah. So, and thank you everyone, Alex and everyone, for inviting Tech Mahindra to have space here to give a talk about what we have done in Hyperledger Fabric, and happy to share what we have done over here in India. So this is regarding the unsolicited commercial communication, or we call the more familiar term is basically the spam call, And I believe, Alex, you just ran a poll sometime back, and probably 90+% everybody says, okay, we still receive a spam call. Yeah. And so basically, let me just give a quick background about what exactly was the problem statement, and how did we arrive to this solution, and how this whole solution is built around the Hyperledger Fabric. So basically, to give a quick background, we all understand, basically a spam call or a text, it's been annoying. I mean, it's always been annoying, but that was not the only reason why this whole solution came over on Hyperledger Fabric or on blockchain. So primarily, the couple of reasons where one is basically a very bad customer experience, and let me kind of take you here. So one is basically, when we receive a spam call, it's been a very bad customer experience, no doubt about it. But that was not really the primary reason why this thing came in as what we see today. The primary reason was when we receive this spam call or a text, a lot of people kind of fall prey to it. There are some gullible people who fall prey to some wrong tips on basically with regards to their investment. There are some wrong phishing messages that come in. They probably feel they are legitimate, and they fall prey to probably wrong promotions or anything of that kind, and that's something very alarming. And we see that end of the day, the end customer text is coming from a telecom operator which they probably trust, but they do not realize what is happening in the back end. And they might fall prey to probably a wrong investment. They might lose their money. They might get into a wrong contract or something of that kind. And the magnitude of it.
Dharmen, I believe we have lost your connection momentarily. I think there are some connection issues. Yeah, I believe it.
I know the feeling.
Yes, it feels like it's a bit of a interesting. Okay, I think he managed to drop out. I don't know what is going on today, guys.
He'll be back.
He will for sure will be back. And it's quite interesting because, Julian, that's probably a question for you in terms of the economic, like what's the actual financial impact can be quantified in terms of the positive either cost savings or wealth generation that such a use case can come with the application of Hyperledger Fabric. Like it's real money for real people that can be saved with a blockchain application, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, the many savings, from productivity savings to new business models, all of the above, right? So we talk about the China example, the reduction of paperwork and errors that come with the financial things like trade finance, but really it's just the acceleration of trade and the ability to do things faster at a better rate is significant. There's many business models, many ROIs.
Sure.
I think we got.
Dharmen, we have you back. Yeah.
He's on mute. You're on mute now.
Dharmen, you're on mute.
We can unmute him, right?
Oh.
There, done.
Okay, sorry. I think I had a network glitch at a very wrong time.
That's okay.
I hope I'm audible and my screen visible now again.
It's all perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know when did I lose, but what I was mentioning, just to give a quick background about what was this problem statement, and the problem statement is so appropriate for a blockchain ecosystem, and it's really fascinating how a technology like blockchain is able to do something which other technologies which have been existed so far are not able to, because now blockchain brings in the consensus among a distributed group with a conflicting interest and all. So this spam basically not just a bad customer experience, but also leads into some gullible customers or people like us probably falling prey to some wrong advertisement or a wrong investment and something of that kind. And end of the day, the regulator or the TRAI that we have in India, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, they are not able to kind of identify the troublemakers. They are not able to penalize them correctly. The customers are not happy, and the telecom operators, with the likes of Airtel and the Vodafone or something, the others that we have in India, they are not able to curb these troublemakers in this ecosystem, which are these telemarketers, which kind of take the numbers. I mean, they gather the telephone numbers from different places, and they gather your consent at a different place. Maybe you might just go in a shopping mall and probably sign up for something, and they figure out your interest based on what you have signed up, and they start trying to sell you something which you have never asked for. So, and it's very difficult to kind of bring in a compliance in this unregulated system because nobody is ready to share information. So, TRAI came up to the telecom operator, said, okay, this is a problem that we want to solve. And how can we solve it? Can you share information with each other? The telecom operators were not willing to, because, number portability is so easy these days. And it's already they are bleeding. They didn't want to kind of share information so open, because that would start affecting their bottom line, basically, that start affecting their own business. So he said, we are not ready to share information the way it is, because that's going to hurt our business. But at the same time, we are committed to kind of solve this problem if there is a way where we can actually understand whom am I sharing this information with, what's happening with that information, and if anybody tries to change any of this information that I'm trying to share, everybody gets notified. And we have a clear audit trail, what's going in this whole ecosystem when we want to share the information across with all telecom operators. So that's where, all those problem statements that the telecom operators want to address, all of that, fitted perfectly with the principles of blockchain. Although they tried to, compare with other known technologies, the better ones, which probably existed for a very long time. But the only technology that was able to bring everybody together and give a holistic solution what they wanted to was the blockchain. So the other problems were basically, low traceability, hardly any visibility on what's going on, who are those troublemakers trying to make those spam, all that. So now let's look into the solution that we have built in on blockchain. So what we did as Tech Mahindra, basically we collaborated with TRAI, the regulator, even before TRAI came up with a regulation with regards to with a regulation saying all telecom operators will have to come together, form a DLT network, and have to share the information that's required with everyone, so that nobody can say what's the preference or a consent. So basically, the information that needs to be shared across all the telecom operators is basically, what is the preference? What is the do not disturb preference that any customer has set? So basically now, say we have a 1.3 billion telecom users in India, and about half of them have set up their do not disturb preference in terms of, I do not want to receive a financial call, or I do not want to receive something of a promotions in terms of deals on, probably with regards to shopping or something. Everyone, most of them have set up some preference of saying, okay, I do not want to be disturbed with anything of these kinds. But this information is not shared today in real time. It takes about a week or 2 weeks time for this information to kind of go into every telecom operator's database, because the customers belong to different telecom operators. So now, so we helped TRAI to fill in and bring in this regulation with regards to how this problem can be solved, gave them the confidence and the prototype to demonstrate the capability of this technology and to really work at the scale that they're looking for. Because by far, I think this is probably going to be the biggest, one of the biggest networks that we'll ever see, and really proud to see that it's kind of taking shape in India at the home ground. And the massive effect that it's going to bring in, which is to bring in a better customer experience, is tremendous. So what we have done here is basically bring in the preference and the consent of the end customers, say customers like you and me, on blockchain, and protect it. The privacy of the customer is kind of protected. This information will not land into the hands of the telemarketers and will only stay with the telecom operators, and they will be the anchor peers. I mean, they will be the anchor nodes in this network to make sure this information stays in the blockchain and is available to them only on a need basis. Say something like a consent, which becomes a very it's kind of a gold mine data. Basically, if I know the consent of somebody, I can read the mind. I can exactly target something. What do I can sell to them or something. So that consent again is not as open. Although in blockchain we understand if you are in terms of Hyperledger Fabric, if you are part of a same channel, you would be able to see all the transactions coming in. But it's been designed in a way that only the authorized telecom operators can actually see it. But at any point of time, any call that needs to happen will be able to run through that consent and the preference, which is now recorded on the blockchain network. So basically now there is a common ledger everybody shares, which includes the preference and the consent of all the telecom customers in the country, and real time available. Anybody makes a change in their preference or a consent is now available real time. And now the onus is on the telecom operators to make sure any call which is commercial in nature need to make sure it complies with this preference and the consent of the end user, and no spam should go to them unless they have given a explicit consent or a preference to receive such category of a call. So every commercial call that needs to route through this blockchain. And the other services, of course, that we have is basically identifying the stakeholders. So basically now there would be, just India has probably around more than 12,500 registered telemarketers and so many others which are not registered. So telecom, a telemarketer which is probably performing with one telecom operator has a good behavior with one telecom operator, but not having a good behavior with other telecom operator. Today it doesn't come out. Unless that telemarketer behaves rogue in your own network, only then you figure out. And at the same time, the other telecom operator or the TSP, the telecom service provider, they do not get to know about it. So now what we have done is we have given them identity, put that on blockchain. So the telemarketer, which are actually the troublemaker, which happen to be a very important stakeholder in this whole ecosystem. But now they have a unique identity across the network, and anybody does anything wrong can be easily identified by everyone in the telecom world, because now information is shared across on blockchain network. And on real time, the preference and consent has to be kind of scrubbed in the sense that's a telecom jargon, where it basically has to be reviewed to make sure the call is in line with the preference and consent given by the customer. If not, it should drop over there. So blockchain kind of gives the response saying, okay, whether this call should go or not, without revealing what was the preference set or not. So the calling party never knows why didn't this call reach, or which call actually reached. So there is a lot of encryption. There is a lot of virtual numbering that happens underground. To make sure the privacy of the preference and the consent given by the customer like you and me is preserved. And there is a clear trail to figure out who is doing what kind of an activity on this network. And anybody who's trying to do something outside this network, there is a clear regulation in terms of disincentivization. If they try to do something outside this network, basically, and if they get caught, there is such a huge penalization they would, which will kind of force them to fall in line. So that's the, a good part about having this whole thing as a regulation coming from an authority itself, which has, but it happened with a lot of discussion, bringing in all the telecom operators together, creating a consortium, evaluated different technologies. Eventually, they agreed on and experimented and saw that Hyperledger Fabric is the right way to go. All the other aspects are taken care in mind regarding the scalability, the support that's coming, the advancement of the technology, having it proven background about things that have gone into production and so many other aspects. So, and end of the day, complaint management has become far more easier now. Most of the complaints can be easily resolved just by looking into blockchain, what happened when, and we can identify whether it's who was the culprit over here, if there is any complaint. And overall, the complaints should go down as well, because now there are not going to be any, there has to be a much lesser spam that would occur, unless I just pick up a phone and try calling you directly, and without me being a telemarketer trying to flood the country with millions of messages. Those small players might still exist, but that portion would be very less. So, yeah, questions, or we can end if So now this is a little bit of a technical architecture what we have put together, and we can see at the bottom of it, basically this is the Hyperledger Fabric components that we have, and this is just an indicative architecture. I mean, every operator has a different architecture. Some of them they are on cloud, some of them are on-premise, some of them have set up on their own, some of them have gone with the platform as a service, and of course, I mean, with the likes of solutions like Chainstack, which helps make this technology far more easier to adopt, or make it simpler for the customers to set up and maintain. So this architecture that we see is primarily blockchain just becomes a small portion of it, one of the key components certainly. So, and this whole architecture, basically on the left hand side of this dotted line, what we see is the tech stack that we would see on for each of these telecom service providers or the telecom operators. So they will have their own node, they will have their own application that talks to their node on the blockchain, and they have their own service to basically do some things off chain, because there is a huge amount of data that keeps coming, and they want to do some analytics, they want to do things that can run off chain and that can be anchored onto the blockchain, because we still have to give the required scalability and the number of transactions that they might want to process. So which we know blockchain probably cannot, but at the same time we do not want to slow them down. So it was a hybrid architecture that we have put together to make sure it complements their business rather than slowing them down. And it's integrated with their existing conventional systems, basically the mobile number portability, their SMSC gateway, their CRM, where they manage their customer preferences and complaints today, and integrate with their existing Active Directories or OID or IDAM for identification and access management, to bring in all the subscribers that they have and all that. So it's kind of a high-level architecture that you would see on every on the nodes of every site, and then all these nodes are connected with the nodes of other telecom operators. So typically in this blockchain network, we have so far 8 nodes in this consortium, and each of these nodes, you might see that we have tried to put together, say like Airtel, they have gone on-premise, the Tata Tele, they have gone on Azure, Arcom on Azure, Jio on Azure, Vodafone on AWS. So we see that basically it's been different cloud, public clouds that they have all these nodes belong to, or they have gone on-premise. Some of them have put it on Kubernetes, some of them have put it on Docker host, some of them put it on Red Hat, OpenShift, or so there has been a much kind of a complexity of a very high level that we can see in this particular consortium, and everybody has a different line of business. I mean, somebody does 10,000 calls probably in an hour, probably somebody does 25,000, or somebody does probably more of a text, somebody does auto call, the auto dialer calls or something of that kind. So everybody has a different load that they have to kind of cater to, and so that's the beauty about this. But end of the day, all of them are connected with the underlying infrastructure, which is the blockchain infrastructure on the common Hyperledger Fabric network. So what is the, here are some technical details. So we have, we have 1.4.2, the HLF version that we have. Smart contracts are written in Golang. The number of smart contracts that we have are 13 smart contracts. Number of channels that we have are 12 channels. Types of applications basically are 3, which is different. Basically, 3 is somebody is just in text, somebody is in voice, somebody is into auto dialer. So it's kind of different types of applications that they run on. There are typically at least 2 nodes each of these operators have. To have a better distribution of data at their side, and there is a high availability of the nodes, because it becomes a very critical information for their business. And this is this information is to the best of our knowledge, because these things can also change as they kind of mature. Probably they might add more nodes, or they might go on to from on-premise to cloud, or from cloud to on-premise as they might want to move. So and there is a large amount of operation that happens off-chain, and majority of them use an elastic stack, ELK stack, and some of them also have some other, basically in terms of in terms of big data kind of analytics that they're doing in a different stack of their choice, but primarily majority of them are still on ELK. So this is a high level what is underlying on blockchain, on Hyperledger Fabric that we have here. And as TechM, we are actually catering to 3 of the telecom operators, basically the first 3 that are there on this chart, basically Jio, Tata, and Orcom. So that becomes more than 50% of the whole telecom subscribers in India. We are proud to be helping them put on blockchain. So what are the key innovations? Some of them, what we see here, unlike any other probably production grade implementation, is basically this is a pure consortium, and it's not something basically a network which is bootstrapped by a key organization and others are kind of latching onto it, or probably have to polarize to kind of continue to do their business. It's a completely a consortium network, which has a very clear regulation and very clear outcome that they have come up with. They have come together for a very common purpose, and it's a multi-cloud hybrid, multi-hybrid cloud on-premise setup. It's a large-scale network. The amount of data that we have is enormous. I mean, the preference and the consent channels have probably more than 30-40 million records on the chain. And the primary purpose is to basically make sure the user preference or the user consent is kept private. Although they are on a common channel, we have architected in a way so that by use of some symmetric and asymmetric keys to make sure only the authorized telecom operators are able to kind of make sense out of the data, although they might be part of the same channel, but they can't read it. But it's been it's been encrypted, but at the same time it's been hashed and available to them, wherein they can actually compare it at any time to make sure they still do not make a spam to any of the customers where they cannot actually read the data. So yeah, and like any other platform that we build, it has to talk to the other conventional systems, because the primary intelligence that happens in the telecom network is still with their existing systems, like their CRM, their message deliveries, their mobile number portability and all that. Blockchain just becomes a platform where they can now come together and share data without having to fear about what's happening and what will happen to that data. So now telemarketers and the entities, the entities like say Walmart or Amazon, Flipkart, all that have to, whoever wants to, send their promotional messages. Say basically a Flipkart or Amazon wants to send promotional messages for an upcoming Diwali sale or a Christmas sale. They also have to get registered onto the network. They have to kind of, delegate who are the telemarketers who are going to act on behalf of them, and what kind of a promotion that they plan to do. So, all that information is now available on the blockchain network. So the activity done by the principal entities or the telemarketeers or the telecom operators together with regards to this commercial communication is now recorded on blockchain, and the compliance become far more easier, and nobody can deny at any point of time why did they try to send this kind of a message or allow this kind of a message or a call, because now they have the information real time, and they have to make sure they comply by that preference and the consent. Yeah. So what are the key benefits and impact? Basically, a reduced process cycle time. There is an enhanced transparency. There is an improved traceability and best-in-class security by having blockchain. So now, if we, the amount of time otherwise they used to spend just on identifying or settle the complaints, they required a large team on each of the telecom operators, because the calls can actually route through their network to another operator's network and then eventually fall onto the customer's end customer's phone, and they never know who was the troublemaker, who did not check for the do not disturb. Was it the originating telecom operator? Was it the terminating telecom operator? Or was the customer making a wrong complaint? And we do not have access to that data. We can only see what we can see in our own CRM, or we can only see in our the record logs, mobile record logs. But it becomes very difficult to kind of come to a consensus how to close those complaints and the whole complaint handling thing. And there was no transparency in what's happening. Yeah. So, and as part of this, I mean, we have been recognized and been grateful to receive some industry recognitions as well from Microsoft Inspire, India Blockchain Awards, and some of them, which also kind of testifies basically the work that has been done. And we call it as a solution despite all odds. Basically, it's not that the intentions were not so right, but the times have not always been conducive. I mean, they've never been conducive for anybody to come together in the same industry. The peer telecom operators probably to come together and share information so openly, because there was no such trusted solution that was available. Now that we have blockchain, and that has now opened world, basically, wherein now they can freely come together and still come and share that information without having to fear what's going to happen with that information, without having to worry about that information will be kind of misused. At the same time, it has opened the world of opportunity too for them as well, because now they also get information that's required from the other operators, which is anyway required for them. So, it's been a great solution and a great collaborative effort from the regulator, from all the telecom operators, and now it becomes a win-win solution once it completely goes live. One is basically there will be less spam, so customers will be happy. Whatever communication that goes will only come based on your consent and preference. So there will be a better conversion of promotions that happen, or probably you will only receive something that you ask for. So there will be more targeted promotion that will happen, and the conversion will be far more accurate. Any new product coming into market, they don't have to flood the market with millions of calls and messages and probably expect some of them will probably take a positive step. Here, basically, you'll target only those who have given their consent. And end of the day, for the regulator, it becomes a much easier way to make sure the whole ecosystem is compliant by virtue of blockchain. So it's kind of a technology-driven compliance.
That's fantastic, Dharmen. I think that there's so much innovation happening, and it's absolutely. I like how in depth you have given us an insight of all aspects of this use case, from the business case, the problem statement, and all the way to the technical architecture and the benefits that are stemming from this solution. Thank you so much for the presentation. It's absolutely amazing. I know that Everyone is itching to see what is going on the network side, and we're also leaving quite some time for Q&A, and I'm pretty sure everyone is also itching to ask you many questions about this use case, and same is for Julian and for the overall Hyperledger ecosystem. So thank you so much for the presentation. It's been absolutely amazing. Would you be able to share this presentation, this deck, or a form of information then with the attendees afterwards?
Yeah, sure. Let me check back and I'll share it offline with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dharmen. So let's get back to the network. I've seen a lot of movement on the back end. Nick, Thomas, can you give us an update of what is going on? Did we manage to get the consensus? It's not the consensus, the quota for the approval app.
Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button. Yes, we've come to consensus, and somebody already committed the chain code. So once somebody commit the chain code, yeah, sure. Let me just share my screen. And yeah, voila.
That's luck, Thomas.
Dividend chain code installed. So
Thomas,
if you...
Yes. Thomas, we can see your Slack.
Yeah.
We cannot see anything else.
Oh, sorry.
Voila.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, this is... Sorry, I'm not very good with Slack. Gonna try again. How about now? Yeah?
Yeah.
Voila. Ooh la la. Whatever. We're good. So we see this. It means that the chain code has been committed to the network. So right now, let's try to communicate with one another through the chain code. So click on this button here, access chain code. What it's gonna do is gonna fetch the chain code from the network and then populate the forms based on the function on the chain code. So if you were to commit your own version of chain code, it will do the same. It will populate the forms dynamically based on whatever functions that you integrate in the chain code. So what I'm gonna do now is I am going to, that's it, right? I'm going to opt in. So this is my SSN ID. I'm going to say free money, right? So what happens is I'm actually opting in to the chain. I'm gonna get free money, I hope. So 8 is a good, oh, we have endorsement failure during invoke.
Did we commit the chain code?
I believe someone did. Yeah. So Murphy's Law, right?
That's always the case.
Yeah. So we run it on a bigger network and everything works, but during a live bootcamp, something just had to happen. Yeah. It's not yet been approved by this org.
That's okay. So it looks like we need to open the hood again and look at the engine again. Okay. So let me do this. Let me get everyone to start and kick off the quiz, because there is still one more part to our bootcamp before we actually go and see if we can pull this off yet again. But that's also what I love about being with Chainstack team. There is always a flavor of boundary pushing that gets sometimes in the way of playing it safe. But that's fine, I suppose. That's what we're here for. Just try it out. Okay, so let me share just some information about this. I imagine you can see my screen. Let me maximize it. It's not letting me. Okay. So here's I don't know what is going on with my, I think this is a funny day. So if you can type this in, I'm going to also post it now on the chat. That will take you to the quiz. It's 20 questions. After this questionnaire, if you are, I think the pass grade is 80%, you will get a nice certificate from us. This is also the QR code if it's easier for you to access it via QR code. Let me post it here. 1 second. So if you're happy with this, I will give it 10 minutes till 5:53 for everyone to go and get that going. Thomas, in the meantime, keep us updated on what is going on in the background.
Okay, sure.
All right. I can see, yeah, the presentation slide.
Yeah. And Nick, what was the issue with the chain code not deploying that you can see?
Oh, I think it was deployed. Maybe there was an issue with connection, or because of the velocity of participants we have, many things may happen. So we'll check it on Explorer's side probably. What are the committed chain codes? And I'll get back to you for this.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So how many people are actually trying the test? Just as a raise of hands. Let me know when you're done and ready to come back.
No, I think
should be easy breezy
code,
after all the content that we have covered today.
The chain code hasn't been deployed. Yeah, just to give you a heads up here. I think because of the number of participants changing and the connection profile being always not up to date for some participants, we got here a false, false positive that we have a majority. So in practice, we don't. So.
Oh. So does it mean that we don't have the quota to push?
Yeah, but this is, things that usually take some time to resolve. But essentially, Chainstack automates every other step preceding this agreement. And, during this agreement step, it requires some maybe physical actions, like you saw what was happening on Gitter or the Zoom chat, us reaching out to you guys and asking to approve it. But in other organization, this might be, even some legal steps related to this hit of a button. So, yeah.
That's okay. I think that's the actual deployment of the code. There's nothing that we can do to just interfere with the governance side when it comes to this. Nothing, Thomas, that you can do to whiz it out of the hat, right?
No, so this is the beauty of blockchain. And also
that's the official Chainstack.
Yeah, we always deploy bigger networks on our tests. I believe like today is just backlog day. I don't know. Thursday is not a good day for us. I'm not sure. But maybe because of all the simultaneous deployment.
It feels like.
Yeah. It's like everybody suddenly, doing everything at the same time. So there might be some issues here and there. But yeah, in general, we done well. We come to consensus. We deploy a chain code. Just that we were at the last step of invoking a transaction that we're so close to it. But anyway, I honestly feel like everybody did learn a thing or two today at the bootcamp, which is the whole intention of the bootcamp. If you like the team, if you like me, put some phrases in the Zoom chat. it will make my week. Thank you.
It's okay. For now, I think everyone is asking about your t-shirt. And I was just posting that that's an official Chainstack t-shirt. We may be planning some giveaway or competitions in the next few months.
Yeah, I killed a dragon in Newton to get this t-shirt. Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So I can see that quite a few people have already submitted their quiz results, and I think everyone is getting to it or is almost done. So in the meantime, if you have any questions for Julian, for Dharmen, for Nick, Thomas, and the rest of the team, just post it, or you can just take over and ask the question directly. I think this is kind of a cozy group by now. we're about 40, and quite, we've been together for, I don't know if you felt the time passing, but it's 3 hours now almost. But it's gone so quickly as far as I'm concerned. I hope that's been the same for you all. Okay, so let me check on the chat, on the Git there, and the other questions. Okay, Dharmen, there is a question for you. Someone is asking, is this solution already live? Is it still at POC stage, or when is it going to be deployed and go live?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we do get that. Yeah, I mean, because of the nature of the size of this whole solution. And just to give a perspective, basically this has been under development for almost a year and a half now. And as you might have seen, that the architecture is pretty large on this, and individual operators have to do a lot. But the blockchain side is completely ready and in production, I would say. Okay. So, and we have already migrated preference and consent, which is in 40 million, 50 million transactions have already been recorded on the ledger. But having said, this whole network is not 100% live, because it still has to talk to their individual operators' systems, and needs to kind of certify the tests and the speed that's required. But the blockchain network is completely live as we speak, and the portions that have been worked upon on the integration side, which are still work in progress.
That's great. Thank you. And Dharmen, one more question for you. That they're asking, so was it a natural fit with Hyperledger Fabric? Did you consider the protocols, or why did you decide to build on Hyperledger Fabric?
So there were a lot of considerations, in fact. And it didn't take a lot to kind of zero onto the Hyperledger Fabric in this particular case. Primarily, as we know, Hyperledger Fabric is very modular, and there are a lot of pluggable components that are there, and at the same time, it's very easy to scale because of its nature of modularity. The few things that went in favor for us to decide on Hyperledger Fabric, one is basically, as I said, this decision was kind of made more than a year and a half ago, and how many production grade implementations that we had, which could be used as a reference to kind of put such a large network, there was no better choice than that, at least at that point. And the amount of support that we have from the community, and the way community has been responsive and receptive of any new advancements that come in, say probably every quarter we receive an upgrade, and the clear documentation that comes in. So it becomes very easy to push anything that's probably missing and get it part of the framework. One is you can actually influence the community to kind of have your problem addressed, because if it is a common problem. And second is basically it's easy for the administrators and the technical team to maintain it because of the familiarity of the protocol. And third, in this particular case, we had a very clear picture of what is the scale that we required and how many participants are going to be there. We had a very clear number, basically. We have like 8 telecom operators in India. We already had a map of how many channels we're gonna need. We already had a map of sizing of what kind of amount of data that we want. So, we had a very clear picture of what exactly we were designing for, and it absolutely fell perfect. We didn't have to worry about, there could be like, say, unknown number of probably hundreds or thousands of nodes. We didn't have a challenge of designing for something. Probably you might have probably hundreds or probably 200 of channels, and we might have to still kind of grow beyond or something. Yeah. So all that was a perfect recipe for deciding on Fabric. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we did a good comparison. But yeah, that was the thing.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dharmen. And I suppose I have a question for Julian now. People are asking, as they have you here, like your direct access, they're asking, what's the thing that you cannot tell us, but you will tell us in terms of the updates and the upcoming news on Hyperledger Fabric? Is there like any secret updates that you can share in advance? Anything juicy?
By definition, there's nothing juicy. This is open source technology, so actually it's all there. The juicy secrets, you have to go into Jira, go into GitHub and see everything. That's where the juicy stuff is.
Fantastic. I know that there is a lot going on for the anniversary, right? For the anniversary in particular.
Anniversary coming up, and we've got a T-shirt for that as well, by the way.
There you go. You see, now you're giving us some more info.
So there's a lot of cool stuff happening. Definitely, we're going to have a big celebration on the in December, on the 17th. So watch the space. Definitely,
that's
very cool.
That's
stuff
amazing.
Coming. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey for everyone, and I'm always amazed at that Tech Mahindra story, right? So there are some amazing production cases already out there today.
Absolutely, as Hyperledger members, we can really attest to the openness of the open source community, the true spirit of collaboration, and what you mentioned in really some meritocracy of the doers, right? It's a duocracy in real terms, and that's something that we can see with our participation. So for any businesses out there who are considering to join Hyperledger, we can most definitely attest that the value that is coming to us is absolutely unparalleled. I have one question from someone. I can see a raised hand. Salio, I'm going to ask you to unmute if you want to ask the questions directly. I'm not sure if that's something that you feel comfortable. Otherwise, if you want to type it. I'm not sure this is coming through. Okay, that's okay. We tried. Any more questions for the community? Eugene, by the way, had to just drop for some prior commitments. But again, any questions that you will have for him, our Gitter channel is still open. The lobby will be there. You can reach out. I will just prompt all the contact details for everyone for everyone to access and get direct contact with the speakers for today. I have a questions about how can we get the swag, teas and stuff all the way. I think we have a lovely community from Africa today as part of the audience, which is quite nice and refreshing. I think normally usual players are coming from US and Europe and from APAC. So yeah, I suppose would just let us know your address. We can drop. I'm pretty sure if Julian has an opportunity, we'll also do the same.
Yes,
so we'll keep in touch.
I've chatted with him. He wants to do something in Africa like this.
That's nice.
He wants to do something there. So definitely, he's worked in we have an Africa chapter. Actually, the other thing is the India chapter. This Saturday is having one of their tech fests, of which you can see a lot of the contributors of Hyperledger. So this weekend on Saturday, go to the India chapter. Sorry, the India chapter, Hyperledger India chapter, and we've got a great event happening this weekend as well.
That's amazing. So let me bring up the contact details for everyone who has been a speaker, and let me wrap up. Nick, unless there are any updates on your side that you want to share. Oh, there is some background noise. If people can please unmute themselves. Thank you. Okay, so I can hear nothing from Nick, so I suppose it's a quiet end. But as usual, if you have seen, we will be sending out a nice follow-up email with the details of everything that has been shared. I will liaise with Dharmen and Julian on some material and presentations to summarize their presentations. We will definitely share, as I can see in the community was interested in receiving the presentation from Eugene that will absolutely include. We will also make available the recording on the Chainstack YouTube channel, and you will see the link that will be on the follow-up email that you will receive hopefully tomorrow, Saturday at the latest. In the meantime, if you want to reach out individually to the speakers today, Eugene, Thomas, Dharmen, Julian, and everyone else at Chainstack. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, before we close, there's just one thing I wanted to mention. Yeah. As many guys are joining us and folks joining us with this consortium, they have to keep in mind that Chainstack provides 14-day trial for all the developers. So you are not going to be billed for any usage of this protocol. So just try it out, play with our tutorials, experience with Hyperledger Fabric. We have rich tutorials covering all the possible features. In fact, we're going to roll out a channel creation guide there. But after 14 days, if you wish to continue services with us, you can just keep running networks unless you want to stop it, and then you just need to stop your running nodes, not to incur any costs associated with storage or compute times. And that's just the one thing I wanted to clarify here for everyone.
For sure, Nick. I know that last time we ran it, many people got the message, but we want to make it really, really sure. So make sure that you either continue to experiment on Chainstack. Of course, that's just going to be free for 14 days. If you know for sure that that's not something that you want to continue doing, take care of it. Even though there will not be any charge if you're not using the account going forward, that will still be there. So just be mindful that your console account is there. However, I'm pretty sure that everyone is getting quite interested in trying, experimenting, and building using Hyperledger Fabric. The best way to experiment, get on, go to market quite quickly with a POC with your businesses and with your clients is to just go to console.chainstack.com, try it out, keep experimenting, keep building. There is nothing that is going to stop us as a community on keeping growing and keeping learning. Mistakes along the way will always happen. That's what engineering also is for, is about pushing the boundaries and getting there in the end, especially if it's something that is absolutely new. And yeah, that's all from us. Thank you so much. It's been a good 3 hours. I can see that Thomas is exhausted. He's going to earn a nice reward for everyone else. Thank you, Julian. That's been such a pleasure to have you here with us.
Well, thank you. That was an amazing event. Great job. Thank you, Alex, Thomas, Nick, everyone, the Chainstack team. Great. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Dharmen. It's been, again, such a great opportunity for us to learn more about what the more advanced applications of Hyperledger Fabric into the real world. Because some people, don't see this actually having an impact in society, in the economy, but you have really cleared the way for getting all the way to consumers to see the benefit of blockchain. So thank you so much for being here with us. Fantastic. And thank you, Thomas, Satish, Ake, Anton, all the engineering team at the background. Thank you, Nick, for moderating and keeping the cool throughout the storm of the 3 hours. So and let me thank everyone on behalf of Eugene as well, who had to go, but it's been a great opportunity for him to get to know about more about everyone and share information about Chainstack. Okay, thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next events. Keep your eyes peeled, more is coming, and I will email you with a follow-up and next steps as detailed. Thank you, everyone. You take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You want to stop recording?